Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams. It's a live episode on this Monday evening. It's great to hear from everybody this evening. We're pumped to be here. We're fashionably late, about 11 minutes late tonight, Danny Brams. It's my fault. Had a great dinner before this podcast recording, and it took a little longer in the oven than I had hoped for. But we're finally here, Danny. It's great to see you tonight.
When the dinner's great, you're going to be a little late. That's just the way it goes, baby. You can't handle that. Can't hate it. Can't have a problem with it. We're here on a lovely Monday. I mean, we're late anyway, not being here on Sunday night, which is our normal night to do these anyway. So people can wait 11 more minutes if they waited 24 hours. But no, welcome to the Charlotte Soccer Show, everybody. Thank you for being here. As always, the TIFOs, the bat signal is up. We got the listeners coming in. We expect comments. We expect all kinds of compliments and criticism. We love it all. So get in the mix, start a conversation. John and I are going to be the ones on the mic talking to y'all, but everybody that's part of this podcast community that's been built over the last year and a half is got a voice here. So let us know what you want to hear us talk about or quote you saying, things like that. We got a lot planned tonight, right, Johnny? We got a breakdown of the game. And really, it's kind of like, for me, it's like time to take stock, right? It's time to take stock.
Yeah, and shout out to Brian Shuford. A great comment to start off tonight's live stream. When the dinner is great, the pod can wait. But the pod is here now. We have a ton to talk about, you're right. And we want to start with Christian Kalina, his performance against Columbus. Look at a couple goals that maybe he could have done a little bit better. Could have made a difference in the match? Probably. Westwood's finest performance, the gemstone. Danny, this is something that I know that you have a lot of thoughts on.
He's brilliant in it. He's brilliant in it. The gemstone.
He's a good lad, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean we've kind of been pro Westwood ever since he came over here. You and I being Premier League fans, knowing what he was able to do in that league. Not like he was some superstar, but just a very effective, capable player for a team. That's a good one of the better clubs in England, and Burnley was relegated and won their way right back up, won the championship. They'll be back in the Premier League next year. And so knowing that we were getting a guy of that pedigree, that quality, and now it's like I was saying this is what I was saying actually like moments before, if you were at APR at our watch party, which was another great time. I've got many shout outs to give at the end of the episode, but in that vein. But what I said, I'll shout out myself first and foremost because I'm the only one that's going to. I said something like along the lines, I'm paraphrasing my own self here, of, everything Westwood has done so far has been off the field. It's been in between the ears. He's set the tone. He's set the mentality. He's created a standard, all that stuff. And once we start getting to make contributions on the score sheet, once he starts, contributing to goals and assists, it's going to be real nice. And what did he do shortly after that was send a incredibly awesome lofted ball over the top. The Westwood pass that we talked about when he was first signed, which is sort of that skids over the top and then drops straight down to the attacker. It's so nice to see. And we saw it drop straight down to Carroll for a nice goal. And he played well. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And he's going to talk about that later. He's not a guest on the show, but we did cut a soundbite from his press conference. Maybe someday.
It's a great comment post-match. We're going to get to that. We're going to go through the match. And we're going to look at the first couple goals and then take a look at what was a furious second half comeback. I think, some people who wanted to maybe leave at halftime or people that thought this game could be over. You never know.
People in your household that want to leave at halftime?
I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? Not to burn your wonderful wife, but yeah. She and I did have that discussion of like, man, if it's 4-0, we're out of here. Yeah.
It was 1 minute of glory after the furious comeback, so we're going to talk about all that. But the first thing I wanted to do tonight on the show, Danny, is take a look at how things got kicked off.
Turiloma, dangerous spot, taken away at center field. It's loose in the 18. Shot and a goal! A turnover by Charlotte, and Christian Ramirez makes the pay for it. It's 1-0 Columbus in the 5th minute at Lower Dot-Com Field.
In the 5th minute, it's a giveaway goal, and it's the worst possible thing that you could do to start a match on the road. The back line gets caught out once again, and Christian Kalina is uncommitted. He doesn't know whether to stay in his area or charge after the ball. And I think that indecision there, Danny, in that first 5 minutes, Charlotte FC with the worst possible start imaginable on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it definitely took the energy out of the room at EPR. We had to sort of do a great reset and get everything going again. I was particularly bummed that it was Ramirez was the guy that got us, because I'd been hyping up pregame. I said, oh, Zelarayan and Hernandez, man, Cucho and Lucas, those are the two danger men. Those are the ones that can hurt us real bad. And turns out Christian Ramirez, who's more of a journeyman striker that they have sort of playing as like a more of a behind Cucho forward type of role, he was able to be the one to pounce on it. He got the first goal. He ended up with a brace. He scored later. Remember, he's the guy that was denied by the big paw of George Marks, denied off the line on that one really dangerous situation that they'd had against us, which I think that was a Tuiloma mistake. Bring it full circle. Here's Ramirez finally getting his first goal against us, and he would get another one. But this first one, 5 minutes in, Tuiloma mistake, self-inflicted wounds. Jorge Torres in the comments says the season of self-inflicted wounds. Is that a trait of our team, or is that just Tuiloma at this point? I have to wonder. We could go all the way back to the New England game, and many people have already absolved him of any fault for the game loser that was scored against us extremely late in that one, although he was the last person to touch it on the team before New England scored. So then he had the own goal against St. Louis, and it's just continued one thing after another after that. And here's a square ball. Can you play that again? And before you do it, just watch what Bill's trying to do here. Like, he's trying to play a square ball across two attackers regardless, even if it wasn't the one who ended up scoring, isn't the guy who intercepted it, but it's horrible.
Like whoever responsible for aid.
Tuiloma, dangerous spot, taken away at center field. It's loose in the 18. Shot and a goal! A turnover by Charlotte, and Christian Ramirez makes the pay for it. It's 1-0 Columbus in the 5th minute at Lower.com Field.
Makes him pay for it. What is Bill trying to do there? It's like, did he look up? Did he see that there was two guys in between him and the man he was trying to pass to? That seems like rookie ball stuff. I'm not a professional soccer player, but most of us could see it.
We're on the record on the show, I think, Danny, Tuiloma is somebody that has to be replaced by Guzman. That's why I'm kind of not freaking out about it, I think, is because Guzman Carrillo is coming back to take that position, and Tuiloma isn't going to see any playing time really for the remainder of the year if things go according to plan. Maybe he'll get some Leagues Cup starts, but Tuiloma is somebody that is going to have to get those minutes elsewhere except for MLS play. That's why I'm not freaking out about it, Danny. I think we're on the record when it comes to Bill Tuiloma. We don't have to underscore, how poor he was on Saturday. He doesn't belong in this squad, and he hasn't belonged in this squad for a while now. And the fact that Guzman didn't start on Saturday night is, I think, an indictment on what should have happened in Christian Lattanzio's starting 11.
That's why I'm freaking out, is because I fully expected Guzman to start, and he didn't. And that's what left me in the lurch. But you want to really spin it. You're right. We have talked about Bill, and it is kind of talking in circles about stuff we've, ground we've already covered. You actually want to take this conversation almost to the next level, because you've got some questions about another person in the defense, namely the guy between the sticks.
Like whoever responsible for Aiden Morris in that moment. And that's when they find him in that pocket of space to try to get the effort that ultimately he just puts off target.
Cucho leads Morris. Nice setup. Zelarayan delays, loops it in. Cucho gets a foot on it and scores! Brilliance from the crew! My goodness! Zelarayan, Cucho, 3-0 crew. What a start!
It was a goal that maybe could have been dealt with by the keeper. It seemed like there was a little bit of pause in order to close that ball down. Could have ended up in a PK? It certainly could have, but Kalina could have been a little bit better there.
Such a beautiful idea from Zelarayan. I mean, watching him play was a joy. Taking my rooting interest out of it, and as a soccer fan, like he he put on a clinic against us. It was tough and delightful to watch at the same time. But that ball was audacious. And I agree with you. Kalina could have been more aggressive. And yeah, maybe you do end up giving a PK there, but you run out like your hair's on fire and you go balls to the wall. Balls to the wall soccer is an offensive philosophy that we share on this show, but it also applies in that situation as far as when you're a goalkeeper that needs to come off your line and that's not as bad as getting chipped for the goal, but basically, it's a situation where the enemy team is just toying with us. Zellerau and Cucho were just toying with us with that play, and so we should have shut it down a little more aggressively. I agree.
Here's an interesting comment by Grant Bullion. Columbus was the most fun opponent to watch. Their goals were great. Their goals were bangers, and the crowd was going wild. There's no doubt that this was the second match in a row that Charlotte FC faced a crowd that was tough to win against, and that's why Saturday night at the Keep is so important. It's a massive match for Charlotte against Seattle on Saturday. It's the final match. And we've been saying that it's the final match of this crazy stretch where there's an international break after the match on Saturday against Seattle. But we'll get into all that and have discussion about that. You can join the conversation on our Twitter feed as well, @ForTheCrownBaby. You can follow us on Instagram, Charlotte Soccer Show. So at that point, Danny, in the match, it's 3-0. And this club is reeling. It goes into halftime, and who knows what was said. Ashley Westwood is going to fill us in on that because I think he kind of hints at what was said.
We already revealed what was said at the halftime speech at EPR, which was Rachel and I just saying, "Let's get the hell out of here." Columbus scores one more goal. But
I mean, that was inspiring.
Yeah, that was less inspiring. I will agree. But it was honest. I think you had gone to the bar to get a drink, and Rachel was sitting at one end of our table, and I was sitting at the other of the table, and I just looked at her, and she had this thoughtful look on her eye, and I was just like, "Rach, tell me what you're really thinking right now," because I kind of had a suspicion. She's thinking, man, the end of this game at home might have to be the move. And I was like, yeah. So that's the state we were in. That's how deflated it was. It had to just be down 3-0 to like ultimately banger goals. I mean, the first one, huge mistake by Bill. Second one was a banger that Swiderski was like centimeters away from blocking that thing, unfortunately. But it was a nice goal by a dude named Arfstopper or something like that. Some no-name Columbus Crew guy that I've barely even ever seen play before. And then the third goal, which we just saw, which I think was just a beautiful goal, but someone should have just like prevented that from happening. Like, can't let that happen to us type of thing, because they were just toying with us. But that's how deflated we were. And things did get better. And like the team like responded. And who knows what was said at half? I don't know. Think of halftime locker rooms you've been in where like, what's a great moment? Have you ever been in that situation where a game just completely turned around at half? We almost pulled it off. We didn't, but we gave ourselves the lifeline.
Westwood sending Swiderski to the area. Swiderski makes one touch of the area, and it goes through the legs of Schulte, and they score! Karol Swiderski put it through the wickets of the Columbus goalkeeper, and Charlotte pulls one back. It's 3-1.
That's Will Pelagic on WFNZ, a great call of that sweet goal by Karol Swiderski. If you're watching live on YouTube with us now or watching the show later this week before the Seattle match, you could see that deft touch by Karol Swiderski. That was impressive, wasn't it, Danny?
Oh, I mean, that's one of the goals of the season for me. That's the Westwood pass. That's Karol doing something that I don't think Enzo has not shown me he would be able to do. Enzo's first touch with his foot has been horrendous, and so Karol was able to just bring that thing down, kind of nestle it a little bit more than anyone else I think on the team would have been able to do. So for that, I loved it. He finished it. He finished his chances. He didn't scuff it into the keeper. He megged the keeper off the fit for the finish. Really well played. Just a great Westwood Karol connection. It was a sign of things to come, and we went nuts. We started going nuts, and then it wasn't much longer. Now this was kind of a moment. This, telling the story of how we were watching this game. I don't know. You tell me. Was this something that ultimately pissed you off? I never did get the read on this. because I was checking I pulled out my phone after the Carroll goal. After we celebrated the Carroll goal, I want to see how my fantasy team's doing based on that result, because I have Westwood and Carroll on a team together. I want to move up the leaderboard on this fantasy game. And so I whip it out and I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden I see the game go from 3-1 to 3-2. But it hasn't on the TV screen, because Apple TV, is like 30 seconds behind or whatever due to internet connection or whatever. So, and I go, oh my God. And like one of the tables like, what? Everyone looked at me and I was like, just watch. I was like, I didn't want to give it away what happened, but I saw it said Justin Meram goal on my phone screen. And so I knew it was coming, and there it was.
We've seen 3-goal deficits during this season erased out by teams. As I give away in the middle, and a chip by Bear, they score! Just like that, Justin Meram turnabout is fair play as a defensive error from Columbus, and all of a sudden, Charlotte's within a goal.
Willie P once again capturing the magic, another Meram goal, an involvement once again. It's a giveaway. We've given away so many goals this season. I feel like that's like a goal earned in the opposite direction. That's good karma. And
well said, really well. That's a great call from Willie P saying turnabout is fair play, because we had given them one early and they gave us one back. So that almost made it so that if we could score one more, if we could get it to even terms 3-3, it would have been well deserved and well earned. But we didn't get there, unfortunately. Things immediately turned south. We were going nuts, though, for that minute of bliss. How great was that minute of bliss when we thought anything was possible, down 3-2 with 20 minutes or 30 minutes to play and a chance?
We're going to use this moment starting right now to just enjoy that minute, Danny. We're going to say, dude, it's 3-2. Anything could happen.
All right. Get back.
This is a chance
Let's go.
To potentially, all of a sudden, your interest is peaked. You're saying this could be an epic comeback. This team has done it again. There's a lot of time left. There's more than 30 minutes. All of a sudden, this game has completely turned around.
We got this, baby. We got this. All we got to do, just run it back. Exactly. Carroll's on form. Get the ball to Westwood. Let Westwood pull the strings. We got this. They can't stop us. All offense. No, all gas, no brakes. Let's do this.
Yeah, we can start thinking about maybe some offensive changes.
Yeah, get the subs in. Get the subs in. Subs now, right?
Right, it makes sense.
Now before we kick it off. Let's before we kick it off here. Oh, wait, what's that? What's go? Oh, Columbus has the ball. Oh, shit.
Former club won in Columbus against the former club.
Just a mind-numbing turn of events, and here we go at the other end.
Artson with a beat on it. Max Artson to the left foot. Ramirez, it's in. Oh, the answer by Columbus. Ramirez with another uppercut. His second goal, 4-2 Crew.
Well, I mean, there's 30 minutes left. You could get two, I guess, in 30 minutes. That happened quick.
Where's the subs? Where's the sub? That actually was like a dramatic recreation in many ways, what we just did there for the last 60 seconds on this. That was a dramatic recreation of the conversation that we had, because we wanted subs right then. Didn't we both call for it? Like, we're down 3. We've got 2 back. Let's sub now.
It was the time to do it. It was the time to do it.
It's not just hindsight saying that, because we both said that in the moment. I guarantee you. I promise. If you were there, you heard us.
I think the lesson to be learned in that scenario is that anything could happen in soccer very, very quickly. Let's look back to the FA Cup final this past weekend as well. Ilkay Gundogan just out of the gates, earliest goal in FA Cup final history, just a 6 strike. Things can happen within seconds, and you always have to be on your toes, and you can't score a goal, get back into a game and think for a second that you can relax. So I think it's on the mentality, and it's something that Ashley Westwood spoke about post-game.
Yeah, first half was unacceptable. We take full responsibility for that. We can't start a game like that. It's completely unacceptable. So we take that on the chin. We learn from it, and we said second half we got in the change room. A few words were said, which rightly so, and we showed character. That's the main thing. This group showed character tonight. It was tough. It was really tough. It's been a good week. We've had good performances all week, and then we went and spoiled it today. But like I said, second half we we come out fighting. Like I said, we got the 2 goals, and then it's just sloppy from us. I've just seen the scores, and it's like 56, 58, 59, and then it's we got back in the game, and then you're like, right, come on, we've just keep it tight now, and we'll get another chance. But then they went and scored straight away and sort of deflated us. But like I said, we showed character at half time. I thought we could have easily capitulated, and it could have been 6 or 7 the way it was going. But we showed character, and we got back in the game.
Character.
And it's Crackers has the first word.
Crackers is mad. Crackers wants to go out on the porch, but he's gonna have to wait a few minutes, unfortunately. We got tifos to take care of. I mean, thanks to all our tifos here. I'm neglecting my cat to hang out with y'all because it's that important. But
okay,
the team showed character. I agree, but then they just got sloppy.
It was an epic quote, though, right? I think like you saw this quote after the match, and how did it make you feel?
Made me feel great. I mean, like Jorge Torres says in the comments, and that's why he's our captain. Anytime Westwood or any like or Clay Dimmick or even David Pereba does something really good, I just like my head instantly goes to the Dead Poet Society gif. The oh captain, my captain, Ethan Hawke like standing up and like getting on the desk. It's like a Pavlovian dog response. I can't help but just salute my captain. And that quote made me want to get out the gift for sure, because Westwood is our captain. Like I said, he's earned the spot. And the way he talks about this club, so I've listened to a lot of his. Anytime he's been in front of a mic, he's been doing a lot of the pressers lately, and he did some earlier. I've listened to everything he said, and what I've noticed in his when he talks to a microphone is, he used to, at the start of the season, he was talking more and more about the way we did it at Burnley. We did it here. We did it. But now when he uses that we word, he's talking about we Charlotte FC, like most recently the last few weeks. So he's really integrated in. He's become part of the we, and he's a leader in the we. So I love Westwood for sure. You're never going to it's going to take a lot to get him to lose the respect that I've already gained for him so far, I guess you would say.
So he's somebody that's going to play on Saturday against Seattle at home. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for him to lead this squad. Who's going to be next to Ashley Westwood in that lineup? At midfield, we can have that discussion about Brant Bronico. We can have a Derek Jones and Matthew Geslin chimes in as well live. Geslin says need 8 more Westwoods and his class. Hey, by the way, speaking of class, I saw is it Iosi Perez? Leicester City. Yeah. Somebody, speaking of class, somebody that could be potentially on the market is that somebody that Charlotte FC could potentially bring in during the summer transfer window?
Is that a free transfer? Did he leave on a free? I wonder. He left Leicester City, is what I thought I read today. Maybe you could check me on that. Someone else could check me. I don't know. He might even just be available on a free transfer. But yeah, I saw MLS mentioned in conjunction with his leaving of the Premier League. Iosi's a goal scorer, man. I think Iosi could crush MLS. I don't think he'd be guaranteed to, but I think in the right situation he could do really well.
It's a free transfer. There's no doubt about that. And if you want to pay money, it was Tom Bogert of The Athletic who tweeted out today that at least one MLS club reached out to Perez looking into his salary asks. It wouldn't be cheap, but feeling is he'd come for the right price. Good option for an in-prime DP. Thoughts on that, Danny? Is Charlotte FC a potential landing spot?
Maybe, but I doubt it. I would think there's a couple other clubs that are sort of in a little bit better contending positions with DP slots. I'm specifically thinking of Nashville. I'm expecting Nashville to add one more DP this summer because they're like up at the top of the table and they want to make a real push to go win MLS Cup. So I kind of feel like that might be a more of a landing spot for him, but hopefully, because again, I don't think he's a lock, but the way I think of it, he's not the same player. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but just sort of psychologically, philosophically, it makes me think of Luis Araujo, the Atlanta DP who came over from the French league last year. Just kind of at least, if not the same player, similar player. And that's an interesting call by Geslin there. Fuchs connections, the Leicester connection. Iosi went from Leicester to Newcastle back to Leicester, right? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you can
he was definitely on both clubs for sure. Yeah. Now I don't know which way, and and what year, but certainly has played for both clubs recently. The point in bringing that up was that he's somebody that could bring class into the squad. And it's when we talk about Kamil Jóźwiak. Remember what the conversation was before the season? It was, Danny, that Kamil Jóźwiak was going to be a bought down DP, that he really doesn't count.
Hasn't happened yet.
A DP.
I keep talking about it, yeah.
Right. But that was, remember, every time somebody was critical of Kamil Jóźwiak, we always talked about, well, he really, what was the go-to line? Well, he really isn't a DP, right? That's what everybody would say.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, doesn't that mean there's an open spot on this roster? And David Tepper's got the pockets. If this club wants to make a push this season, I think that Christian Lattanzio should be setting a meeting here, maybe a weekly meeting to check in on what type of transfer budget the club can come up with.
Yeah. Can you get a weekly meeting if you're a startup inside of a larger company? I forget. I'm not sure. Like, can Lattanzio email Tepper directly for a meeting, or does he have to ask somebody for a meeting? That's my only question. I don't know which way it goes. Hopefully the former, and I fear the latter, but who knows?
Nick Hasser in the comments says Vardy in CLT. Brilliant. Vardy would certainly know how to party.
Exactly. If this club, people talk about, for better or for worse, this club sells the party. Come to the game. It's a party with win or lose. Vardy would certainly contribute to that.
Greg Franco says the buy down has to happen along with the new DP coming in. That's exactly what we were talking about.
So it's funny, though, because the conversation has kind of organically come up here. You're talking about it. Elevation Jones is talking about it. But I hadn't really been thinking about it. Maybe I'm just suffering from low expectations here or something like that. But I just hadn't really thought about us adding to the squad this summer. Do you really think it's a possibility?
Well, of course, I think it's a possibility.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like lowered. I'm like the old Mad TV, lowered expectation.
I think that you're just kind of like settled into the squad right now. You feel good about it.
By the way, another thing Greg did. There was a comment earlier. I saw Cracker's cameo. So, how you doing, buddy? My cat. If you're listening to the audio version right now, my cat is shyly making an appearance on the screen.
I've got an off-color joke that I'm certainly not going to make here on this live show. Maybe after.
I love it. I'm proud of you. Send it to me telepathically. Oh, that's a good one. That's fun. That's funny. That's pretty good.
The transfer window is about to open. It's summertime in soccer, Danny, and that means player movement. And we've got it covered here on Charlotte Soccer Show. I think this is a good example of, when we go back to the history of our club, and I want to make sure that this is the history of our club. That this club was founded on MAR asking owner David Tepper to sign more players, to spend the money, to get guys in. And that's the flag that Danny and I are still waving. And I want you to never forget that again, Danny, is that investment in the summer is always a good thing for Charlotte FC.
I guess I know in my heart that it is a good thing, but just consciously, I had not had the thought until literally right now, tonight, this episode of the show, episode 90, whatever we're doing, wonderful live stream with, the dozens and dozens of TIFOs that have joined on. We appreciate you all. I just hadn't thought about it. I had not thought that we're going to add somebody, but you're probably right. As Matt Gesslin comments, it's a must. Franco says, yes, of course. I mean, I guess we got to be adding somebody. I just hadn't thought about it.
Enzo Capetti, he's got a hamstring. This is something that we've been talking about, Danny. I mean, what is the long-term projection for him this season? Is he going to be available this Saturday?
So as badly as I want him available this Saturday, like, you got 2 weeks off afterwards. Just give him one more game off, and then he has 2 weeks after that, and then he's definitely ready after that. It's a hamstring. Don't come back too early when you got 2 weeks off right now. There's no upside to him coming back against Seattle, unfortunately. So I think you rest him until the end of the time off, personally.
Okay.
Although it's a home game, I wouldn't mind seeing him play. I love to watch him play. So I could see him come back as a home game.
Well, I think maybe being dressed would be a good option.
Yeah,
and
100%. That'd be good.
And being getting 30 minutes in before the break to make sure that everything's good to go wouldn't be the worst idea in the world.
Even 10 minutes
from Christian Lattanzio, who is in an interesting position this week to have some training sessions, maybe take it a little bit easy on the guys, considering how difficult the schedule has been.
Yeah, I heard I heard that. I'm pretty sure I had a source tell me that they did a training session before Columbus, which was madness to me. But I guess they did that. They wanted to start Ajimong, so I think they had to do a training with Ajimong with the starters just to make that happen. But hopefully it was a light training. But yeah, I agree. Give the guys a couple of days off. They just come off a heavy workload. I want to ask you this. Speaking of Ajimong, though, this is a conversation I've been wanting to have with you. So if you don't mind, I'll just segue right there. Because if Kopeti's not ready to come back, Carroll was pretty nice in the striker role, but he's also kind of nice in the midfield. If it's not going to be Carroll striker and Kopeti's not ready, Ajimong's not really ready to be like a starting MLS striker. He's nice, but like he's shown in his time that he's got flashes, but he's not really there. So then I'm wondering, like, well, wasn't Vinny Mello ahead of him?
I mean, the answer at
deal.
Somebody in that scenario, I think you're right. Like with Enzo Copetti being hurt, it's really just kind of shined a light on the fact that Karol Swiderski can play both the striker and the number 10 position. But when he plays the striker without a solid number 10, he's really not getting the interplay and the service and the connection that he needs to thrive. But when he is in that number 10, he is able to make that happen because he's very good at that position too, which makes me just, I think the answer to that is Timu Pukki. I think you sign Pukki.
Yes.
You put him at the striker position in for Enzo, who's, he needs a little bit of competition and all of a sudden you sit Swiderski behind and you've got a loaded squad.
Up the Norwich, baby. The Norwich.
If David Tepper's ready to spend.
So how about we bring in Pukki party and Vardy party, and we just have the whole damn thing's a party? But no,
I'm just giving you options.
Well, I think Pookie's headed to Minnesota if he comes to MLS, unfortunately for us. But Gessler nails it in the comments. He's right. And the fact – so here's my follow-up on that, because we kind of have had the Ajimong Mello discussion, but really I was using that to backdoor my way into this. Let's point a finger at Laddie. Because if Ben Bender was healthy enough to come in at halftime and sub in for a completely ineffective Patrick Ajimong, and we score 2 goals within 15 minutes of that happening, why wasn't he the starter? Why are you starting Patrick Ajimong and Carroll in the midfield when you have Ben Bender, who's like a proven goal scorer for this team, someone who's got hundreds and hundreds of minutes in MLS as compared to this draft pick who has not started before? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it a mistake by Laddie? Did we lose the game in the formation and the personnel of the first half? And was that second half comeback, all the character and all that, is that really just down to actually we finally got the right 11 guys on the field?
Yeah, it's a good call out. And the reason why is because it was a halftime sub. And it was something that Ashley Westwood, who we spoke about earlier, also addressed post-match about how the sub was, it wasn't a good look. And the fact that Ajimong had to come off, I'm trying to bring up exactly what he said. He said, quote, "We owe Patrick Ajimong an apology. It was his starting debut tonight, and we let him down. He got brought off at halftime. I've been there as a young kid as well. I told him we take full responsibility for our performance tonight. Patrick didn't deserve that."
I mean, oh, captain, my captain. Give me the Ethan Hawke gif. I mean, once again, you saw, I mean, anyone who follows us on Twitter saw that was my favorite tweet we did of the weekend was just like the perfect post-game quote after a tough loss, doesn't it? Oh, this is it. I think this quote is why Ben Bender didn't start. Like, this was Ajimong's time. He was going to get his chance. Fair enough. That answers my question.
And he got his chance, and then at halftime he got yanked because Latanzio said, "Shit, maybe we should have gone with Bender because Ajimong wasn't ready to go."
At least he realized the mistake at half instead of at 70th minute, obviously, and it did turn into 2 goals and a fight back, which was really fun to see. So Latanzio's growing. Obviously, match day, he's very good at almost all the non-match day elements of being a coach, and he's still learning how to be a match day coach for sure.
It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday evening. It's been a fun show. 35 minutes in. It's rolling along. We've got a couple more things to do. I appreciate everybody hanging with us during this podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Charlotte Soccer Show, new platform for us. We're going to be together later this week, right, Danny? Get a on
back to the
location episode. Record it later this week, and then we'll be back to the Fortress on Saturday. So it's a great week for Charlotte FC here in town. I'm excited to see you.
We're back, baby. And then we got a game Saturday. Then we got 11 days off, and then we have.
It sounds like you're looking forward to the off time. Are you spending too much time with me?
Then we have two quick games, and then we have like 11, and then I'm going to Ireland, and then we have, if I can count, 11 days off again. So. Nice little stretch to rest up, basically after having. So, you tell me, MLS. I mean, I realize you had to compress everything for the Leagues Cup. This is the first season of it. All this, all that. But like, Charlotte FC's just come off a stretch where we had 9 games in 36 days, right? Okay, and then we're gonna have 2 games in 26 days. You tell me. International break. I don't know.
So we're going to look at the table, and we've got heat maps and ratings tonight, Danny.
See them?
Yeah, let's fire through those.
All right, let's look at how the team rated against Columbus, because it's always fun just to sort of get a temperature check. You can see it, the back line. We knew, like, so we were talking lineups. Elevation Jones sent me what he thought would be the lineup, and he actually correctly predicted this exact 4 as the back line. He said these were going to be the guys, and I said my instant response was that team will surrender 3 goals in the first half. I can screenshot it if you need it, but God is my witness. I predicted that if this was the starting back 4, that we would give up 3 goals in the first half.
I can confirm. I can confirm that you've got your finger on the pulse, because that's exactly what happened.
Lo and behold, yeah. So Jan wasn't great. Bill was horrible. Affle got beat out a couple times, and Byrne was Byrne. You can see the 2 yellows as well. Any of these ratings jump out at you?
Christian Kalina, 5.8. You hate to see that. Christian Kalina is supposed to be somebody that brings stability into this lineup, that helps you go onto a road environment. A place like Philadelphia, maybe you only lose 1-0 and have some decent saves. And I think what we saw against Columbus showed what Christian Kalina could have potentially given up at Philadelphia.
Yes, and you heard Westwood say we could have given up 5 or 6 tonight against Columbus, and we definitely, you and I both felt that against Philly, and so this was the rough end of the variance for Kalina after only giving up 1 against Philly, right?
Yeah, but I think some home cooking. I think being back at the keep. I think having Guzman Corujo in front of him with Adilson Malanda.
Nice.
Who didn't start this match, but hopefully will next Saturday.
Here's the defender heat map, just to sort of play off that. You can see, well, more like the fullbacks in midfield: Brawny, Westy, Byrne, and Affle. And you can see, like, there's not much there. Westwood and Bronico are not getting back into the box, so it's really all on that center back pairing. And Sobo and Tuiloma was not the answer.
I actually don't mind what Nathan Burns' heat map looks like. I think he's, really doing a decent job of playing defense and getting down the right wing. I think Harrison Affle shows you maybe a little less penetration down the left side there. I think he was more so willing to cut inside, that inverted fullback kind of tactic that Christian Latanzio is known to play. So I think that's not my favorite. Ashley Westwood there on the right-hand side. And I think Brant Bronico, unfortunately, didn't get forward enough. He has and should have freedom to roam down the left-hand side there. And unfortunately was just sitting in the defensive half.
Do you think maybe he didn't trust himself after a couple of mishaps on forays in the offensive end in recent games? I don't know.
I think it's maybe a little bit of a lack of confidence and the unthinkable, which would be after a long stretch of games, Brant Bronico might be a little bit gassed, just like Derek Jones.
Oh, no.
So
one of those guys needed a day off, and DJ was the one that got it. He did sub in late, right? But
realistically, both guys needed a day off, and only one could get it.
Yeah. I agree there. You can see Kerwin doing some things like early on. Like if most of the stuff here that's like behind the half field, I was pissed early because I was like, man, Vargas, all his touches are coming in our own half. This is not good. And then he finally started to get, some action down that sideline. Carroll, I always love when there's multiple big red dots, and you can see a couple spots for Carroll with the 2 red dots. Not the best positions for them to be, but it does show that he's having the ball at his feet. And like, I wish Carroll was our Zelarayán in terms of the way I said it the other night was you never see 3 passes in a row for Columbus and the 4th one does not go to Zelarayán if one of those 3 have it. You know what I'm saying? Like he's always got the ball. Like everyone knows, get him the ball one way or the other. So like you may find like a fullback and a winger like dinking, farting around back and forth a little bit, pressed up against the sideline, but their outlet in that situation is going to be Zella. Or if the ball's moving through the middle, they're looking for Zella. So I think we need to look for Swiderski even more and just get this guy more touches. He had 31 touches. If I compare that to Zelarayán had 60 touches, So like, can we at least get Carroll like into the 50s on some touches here, please?
Great observation. And I think Karol Swiderski only gets those touches when he's playing in that number 10 role, when he's dropping back in and letting maybe a striker play out in front. So that's maybe why Patrick Agerman got the start, although late in the match he was better in that striker role as well. I just think the Karol Swiderski conundrum is an interesting one because he has the talent to play top-level MLS soccer, but there are some stretches where, he isn't being creative enough in the center of the pitch. But again, listen, like it's important to remind yourself that this is possible.
Westwood sending Swiderski into the area. Swiderski makes one touch in the area, and it goes through the legs of Schulte, and they score! Karol Swiderski put it through the wickets of the Columbus goalkeeper, and Charlotte pulls one back. It's 3-1.
That's a great collection inside the area on a long ball and a one-touch finish, nutmeg. So Karol Swiderski has the ability to do that. We haven't seen Enzo Cobetti do anything like that.
I mean, that's possible.
Except for maybe a header
my
goal.
Favorite clip of the year. That's possibly my favorite clip of the season so far. I mean, it's just absolutely sublime first touch, as our man Brian Schuford comments.
Well, I'm trying to think of a comparison this season. I think Enzo Copetti's goal, I think it was it at St. Louis? The header goal?
The header, from Carroll.
Yeah, that was, for me, up there with one of the goals of the season. And that one there is pretty
Copetti's goal from Lindsay against Orlando was nice as well. There's plenty of great goals, but just like, man, that one's just I mean, that angle, the camera work, the ramping of the speed where it goes from full speed to slow-mo when Carroll touches the ball. Just an excellent piece of production work by the Charlotte FC team with Willie P making a really nice call. That's just my. I'm not saying it's the best goal of the season, but that's my clip of the year, if that makes sense so far.
It's a sick goal. It's a sick goal.
It's a sick goal, man.
Anything else you've got on your mind tonight? Because I've got a couple things I want to finish the show with. Danny Brams, if you'd allow me.
Gestlin says bring back the bouncer. And as much as that's not going to happen, and I would love to, sadly he's benched for Chivas. It does give me a quick mood of thinking of Mexican soccer, since that's where Rios plays now. And shout out to Leon for beating LAFC in the Champions League final last night. I don't want any MLS team to ever win CONCACAF Champions League except us. And if you want to be someone who's like, I cheer for the MLS team, then you can do that. But that's not the way I feel about things.
But one thing I do know that you feel really good about is Charlotte being a soccer city. And look at this scene. Look at this scene, Danny. Look at this scene on Saturday.
What do you think, Mark?
Hey, what's up? Omar Sis only scores bangers.
It's a soccer city, and it's an Independence match day. It's 3 points. You were there, Danny. Tell us about it.
Fun times at Indy, fun times at Memorial Stadium, always a good time. Independents are really good. So Charlotte's fun because Charlotte FC is fun because it's like the big club. Obviously, it's always going to take the number one priority on this show in most soccer fans' minds in this city. I get it, and there's for very good reason. But they're a team that's like growing into its greatness. They haven't achieved their greatness yet. Independents are like the fully formed product. They are great. And they are one of the best teams in USL1. They have tons of talented guys. They put on a show again, beating Omaha handily. Quite, just kind of played with their food a little bit. And Umberger, you saw Mike Umberger at the end of that video. He and others are hosting that tailgate there with the Mecklenburg Reserves and the Blue Furia. And he was like, "Yeah, Omaha's kind of a tough team. They're not going to be pushovers. They look like pushovers to me." So I was really grateful to be able to go in there, walk the sidelines a little bit. Shout out to Ashley Osiecki, who runs comms for the Independents. She does a great job as well. Helped me out having basically free reign of Memorial. I could go in the stands. I could go on the field. Very cool feeling. Got to shout out Clay Dimmick, our boy. He recognized me from the time we interviewed him, gave me a handshake pregame. So, and then went out and had a really damn good game. So, the one thing I want to talk about though, it was great. If you haven't gone to an Independence game, you're missing out. If you don't have the bandwidth for more than one soccer club in Charlotte, I get it, but this is a soccer city, and give the Independents some love. Obviously, not expecting anyone to abandon Charlotte FC to go become an Independence hardcore, but they have they support two supporters groups, the Mech Reserves and the Ultras, and really good crowd in the stands. A couple thousand people, maybe 1,500. I'm not sure, but it was a good crowd. Maybe I'm a little optimistic. We'd have to see. But the one thing I want to say is, spin it back to your expertise. Play the video again real quick, but then you can cut it off. That line from Umberger at the end of the video. Omar Sis only scores bangers. That's an if you know for Independence fans. But we're hoping to interview Omar at some point in the future of the show, and we will talk to him about his tendency to score bangers. I was going to try to pull it off after the game, but I had a couple things I had to do before I could scoot over to the watch party. But after all that set up, play this video, cut it off before the end, and I have a question for you. Those rolls, man, as a Philly guy, those sausage rolls were really nice. They were absolutely delicious. Free with a $5 donation.
Looks good,
and,
man.
What's your commentary on the rolls as a roll connoisseur?
When I saw that video, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on there on that grill? It looks like some legit sausage and nice rolls with like maybe some spicy mustard. A great situation, a great tailgate situation. I'm glad that you were there. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there, but I think it was a Blue Furia member who knows somebody or owns a company that. Anyway, it was awesome. So cheers to you.
El Parrillero. You can check my pronunciation on that.
I wanted to show this as well. Danny Brams. This is where he was during the match.
Come on! Up! Go! Walk it up! Hey, like this!
Over the inline for another Chick-fil-A.
Great footage, Danny. Well done. I mean, what a chance for Dane Kelly there, and what a view you had from behind the goal at Memorial Stadium, and the crowd looked amazing.
Chick-fil-A corner kick, baby. At least he earned that. He couldn't score the goal. That was a nice save made by the Union keeper. But yeah, man, it was great. I mean, there's the beautiful game at field level. There's nothing better. Like, we've been there. You and I went to the Atlanta game. Brett Thompson and I were lucky enough to sit in the vault one time and I could go up and stand like right next to the dividers and kind of be at that field level almost. Independent, same thing. Crown Legacy, even same thing. Just the when you're watching professional, like very high level soccer be played from that field level. Oh man, there's just nothing like it.
Looked like a great experience. And when's the next Independence home game? Do you know?
So I think they're off this weekend, or I think they go on the road. I don't think they have a home game for 2 or 3 weeks. I'll double check the schedule, but I believe I heard from Ashley today. I need to get back to her. And by the way, shout out! I'm going to put this on our Twitter feed. if you're not already following Queen's Pitch CLT, you should be. But our friends at the Queen's Pitch, they interviewed Ashley Osiecki, the woman I just mentioned. They interviewed her for a recent episode about there's a new women's Super League coming to Charlotte next year. So the soccer city's getting even bigger and even more inclusive with another, like a higher level. There's the Independence women who are a team that exists, but they're kind of like semi-pro as compared to this new Super League that's going to be at an even higher level, more on par with the NWSL. So women are getting bigger. So if you go listen to the Queen's Pitch interview with Ashley, if you want to know more about that, very cool. There's my plug for my friend. But just like there's just so much happening in this city soccer-wise that I don't even know what to do. It's you know, if you don't have the bandwidth, you better get more bandwidth because it's all good.
I've got bad news. The next home Charlotte Independence match in USL 1 is not until Sunday, July 9th.
So, yeah, I'll be leaving the country and returning before that happens. So yeah, it's gonna be a while. So we will have some Independence coverage. We'll get one of the players to come talk to us at EPR though, for sure. That's a lock.
So, but make sure you follow them. It's going to be a crazy month for them on the road. I mean, if this road trip goes well, then this team like legit could have a chance to win the championship because looking at the standings now, Charlotte Independence is tied with North Carolina FC, 22 points at the top of USL 1. So right now that table is looking good. And before we go, the one thing we didn't look at was the MLS table. So let's finish with that. Looking at the MLS East standings right now, Charlotte FC is in sixth place. Is this right? Sixth place? I don't think that's right.
No, I think that's an outdate. I think that's after the LA match. I think that's
gotcha. That was still loaded from the previous show. Let's try to sneak that in at the end.
I can get the updated one in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but the updated table, because I think Charlotte FC is sitting maybe at number 9 on that table. In
Correct.
The conference.
Yep, just in playoff position. And beyond just looking at the table, the last question I want to have for you is: are we, like, even though we've lost 2 in a row and they were kind of painful, to me, I'm off the emotional roller coaster. I'm off of like the up and down craziness of this season. I'm off of like, if we lose, it's Laddie out. If we win, we're the best team ever. I don't want to do that. I just want to ride that middle path, and I just want to cruise into playoffs because I think we're a talented enough team to make the playoffs. I think we're a playoff team pending disaster.
And that's why I wanted to call out the table, because even after a loss, you sit there, you look at the table. There's some midweek MLS action this week. Charlotte FC gets a break while some teams with games in hand play this week. Is a good look at the table here, Danny. Charlotte FC at 21 points, played 17 games. Orlando, for example, only 15 games played. Atlanta United, 16 games played. So the famous game in hand will come into play for Charlotte over this next couple weeks. But sitting there in 9th place, the playoff dream feels real, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of these teams below us have a lot of issues. The teams in front of us are catchable, and if we play our game, I think we're a playoff team. I just want to rest in that confidence and just get off the extreme swings and emotional highs and lows. Even though, I mean, it's fun to ride the wave, obviously, but I just, my heart can't take it sometimes, man.
Where's Seattle in the Western Conference right now?
Seattle in the Western Conference, let's call that up, is behind St. Louis. Can you believe St. Louis is leading the West? Right behind St. Louis there, and they played a lot more. St. Louis is in first place with 3 games in hand on the closest team to them in points. That's absolutely insane.
St. Louis City SC having that inaugural season that Charlotte FC fans dreamed of.
Yeah, this is the season we wish we had for sure, and they're having it. But at the same time, games in hand are nice, but they're not guaranteed wins, as we were reminded last year as well. So maybe they could go on a swoon and have a little bit of a losing streak. LAFC, ton of games in hand. LAFC actually has games in hand on St. Louis, as you can see there. So because of all their Champions League travels, they have a midweek game this week, so they get one of those back. There's one MLS game in midweek, but thankfully it's not us because we need a week off. Although I do wish we should be hosting Miami at the Fortress in the U.S. Open Cup tomorrow. That's the only. Unfortunately, that game will be being played in Birmingham, Alabama, and it will not include us. But it's at this point, I don't even know. You and I might be starting at compete. Like you start at left back, and I sub in for you in the 75th minute. Maybe if we'd had to play a game this midweek, who knows?
It's been a great show. Thanks to all the TIFOs for hanging out in the chat. Follow our Instagram. We're going to be doing a live show on location later this week. And look forward to this. Greg Franco, final comment of the night. 7 out of our last 10 matches of the season are home. That's a great thing when it comes to the push for the playoffs. We're going to be following that here on the Charlotte Soccer Show. And as always, I'm John Hayes. He's Danny Brams. And
for the crown, baby.
Crown, baby.